Hello again and welcome to part 20 of Bad Dad by David Walliams. Chapter 59, Overcooked Sausages. Without realising it, Mr. Big and his goon squad were doing most of the hard work for Frank and Dad. Father and son were now able to walk straight into the bank. The only trouble was the alarm had been set off and the police were sure to arrive in moments. Working fast, they followed the path of destruction left by the three criminals down to the bank's vault. Doors had been smashed off hinges, glass broken and electronic keypads bashed in. Kaboom! Frank and his father were rocked by an explosion. Debris fell from the ceiling, a cloud of black smoke filled the air, and any windows that hadn't already been broken exploded, spraying bullets of glass everywhere. The pair covered their faces with their hands. "Are you all right, mate?" spluttered Dad as he gasped for air. "Fine, I think. Let's carry on." Together they stumbled forward and stopped at the top of a spiral staircase. "The vault must be down in the basement," whispered Dad. The pair tiptoed down the stairs. The smoke cleared to reveal an amusing sight. The criminal gang had clearly used far too much dynamite to blow the lock on the door to the vault. All three were singed, burnt black with smoke snaking off them. Mr. Big, fingers and thumbs looked like three sausages that had been overcooked on a barbecue. "Here they are," said Fingers, pointing with his long, thin, charred finger. Thumbs looked mightily confused. But we thought you were in the vault already." "Well, you were wrong. We were out here the whole time," said Frank with a grin.
"Oh,"
replied the henchman, bowing his head. Mr. Big rocked uneasily in his slippers. From the look on his face, he loathed being outsmarted like this. "Actually, you two have fallen straight into my trap." How's that then, Biggie?" asked Dad. Because the man stumbled. "Because now we are going to steal back the money from you that we stole from the bank and steal some more. And you two idiots are going to get the blame. Fingers, thumbs, take it all, every last penny."
My bag's got a hole in it now,"
said Thumbs.
"Mine's got two,"
added Fingers. Just like their clothes, the dynamite had taken its toll on the bags. "Well then, stuff your pockets," ordered Mr. Big. The two henchmen examined what was left of their coats.
Not got any pockets no more," replied Thumbs.
"I've got one, governor," said Fingers. "Oh no, sorry, it's got a hole in it," he added, wiggling one of his fingers through to demonstrate. "Well, you can borrow our bag," said Frank. But that's got £500,000 in it, mate," hissed Dad out of the corner of his mouth so only his son could hear. "Bring it to me, boy," ordered Big. The boy took a few paces forward and handed the bag to Mr. Big. The little man looked inside and his face lit up. "Oh, my babies! Oh, how I've missed you," he said before passing the bin liner to Fingers. Then the two henchmen disappeared inside the vault and began stuffing the bag with wad after wad of money. Frank peered into the vault to get a better look. "Look at all that lovely money, boy. More money than you could ever earn in a lifetime. Just there for the taking." The boy's eyes widened. "I know you're tempted, boy. Look at it. It can give you anything you want. Anything." Frank stared at it, mesmerised. "It's beautiful." "It is," replied Mr. Big, egging the boy on. "Money is the most beautiful thing in the world." "I love it," said Frank. It was as if his eyes had lit up with gold. "I love it." "But, mate," pleaded Dad, "think, what are you doing?" "Come with me, boy," continued Mr. Big. He stretched out his hand towards the boy. "Take your rightful place at my side. I can be the father you never had. Join me. Together we can rule the world." Frank took a deep breath. "I would like that," he said. "I would like that very much." Poor Dad had tears in his eyes. "Mate, no!" "I'm so pleased you've come round to my way of thinking, boy," said Mr. Big, shooting a smug look at Gilbert. "Let's start right now," said Frank. He took Mr. Big's hand and led the man to the vault. "Mate!" screamed Dad. As if in a trance, the boy kept going further and further inside. Mr. Big turned back to Gilbert and smirked. "You've lost, little man." Chapter 60. fury. As Big and his goons busied themselves greedily stuffing the bag full of more and more money, the boy slowly backed out of the vault. Once he'd passed the thick metal door, he whispered, "Dad, I tricked them, help me."
Clever boy.
The boy began pushing the door shut, and Dad rushed to help, and together they used all their strength to try and close it. Inside the vault, Big looked up. "Get the door!" he shouted, and he and his gang ran towards it. They smashed their shoulders up against the door, pushing it with all their might, desperate not to be trapped inside.
"I knew you wouldn't let me down," said Dad.
"Never," replied the boy as they both strained against the door. Mr. Big just managed to squeeze his face through the tiny gap. "You're no match for me, Gilbert," said the man. "I pity you. No wife, no money, no leg. The plan was for you to die in that little racing accident."
"You made that happen,"
said Dad, shaking with fury. "I wanted Rita, and I wanted you out of the way forever."
"I booby trapped your engine," shouted Fingers. "And I cut your brakes," screamed Thumbs.
"But your plan didn't work, did it?" replied Dad defiantly. "Because I'm still here." "You're right," agreed Mr. Big. "But you know what? I think I prefer you crippled. That way, I've had the pleasure of watching you suffer all those years."
"Not any more,"
yelled Dad. "Now it's your turn to suffer," shouted Frank. The anger made the pair strong. Together they just managed to push the three back and slam the vault door behind them. Clunk! But they couldn't lock it.
"Darn," said Dad. "Look, they've blown the bolt on the door."
"We need to jam them in somehow," said Frank. "Let's put that thing to one final good use."
"What thing?"
"That leg of yours."
"I can't leave it here."
"Dad, we have no choice." Reluctantly, the man whipped his wooden leg off, and together they slid it into place. The door was blocked. Faintly they could hear the sound of three criminals pounding on the other side, pathetically pleading for mercy. "We can make a deal."
"It was all Fingers' idea. Thumbs made me do it."
Frank and his father looked at each other and smiled. "See, Dad, we killed two birds with one stone. We put the money back and trapped the real criminals in there at the same time."
"You, mate, are a genius," exclaimed Dad.
"Thank you, Dad."
"The police will find them in no time at all. In fact, we need to get out of here now."
Without needing to say another word, he put his arm over his son's shoulders for support. Frank helped his dad hop up the spiral staircase. As they reached the entrance to the bank, dawn was breaking. In the distance, they could hear police sirens wailing. They rushed the other way down the street.
"Right. Now, back to prison for you, Dad," said Frank.
Chapter 61. The Noise. The People. Once Dad had hopped all the way home, he changed himself back into Auntie Flip's long flowery dress. Without his wooden leg, the man was struggling to get around, so Frank hurriedly improvised a new one from an old plastic mop in the kitchen. The pair jumped on the bus to take them to Wrongfoot Prison at the far side of town. It wasn't visiting day until next week, so they were going to have to blag their way in somehow. Frank's idea was that they should say that they had some upsetting news to tell Gilbert Goody. The pair would make up a distant relative, a cousin or uncle or someone, and say they died and had to tell the boy's father in person. "Who goes there?" barked Mr. Swivel through a tiny hatch at the huge metal front door of Wrongfoot Prison. "Gilbert Goody is my father, and I have some very sad news for him," blubbed Frank. He'd made himself cry by hiding a raw onion in a tissue and dabbing his eyes with it. Dad, dressed as Auntie Flip, put a comforting arm around the boy's shoulder. "Oh, it's you," exclaimed Swivel. "You were only here yesterday. We are closed to visitors for 2 weeks. What is this sad news exactly?" demanded the prison guard. "It better be really, really, really gut-wrenchingly sad." "Well, I don't know how to say this without breaking down, but—" "Get on with it, boy," ordered Mr. Swivel. "His Uncle Keith has passed away," blubbed Dad. "Dead?" asked Mr. Swivel. "Yes," replied Dad. "Completely dead?" "Oh, yes, 100% completely, utterly never going to be alive again dead." "I'll tell him," snapped Mr. Swivel. With that, he slid the metal hatch shut. Frank and his dad looked at each other in panic. This was not part of the plan. "I know, we need to tell Gilbert face to face," shouted Dad through the prison door. "Why?"
shouted Mr. Swivel from the other side.
Because we wouldn't want you to spoil the surprise, replied Frank.
Dad looked at his son as if to say, "What are you on about?"
Surprise,
said Swivel.
Yeah, he always hated Uncle Keith, replied Frank.
There was the sound of keys jangling, then the huge metal door slid open. "You got 2 minutes. I got my eye on you," said the prison guard, though he didn't state which eye, the real one or the glass one. Mr. Swivel took the two up to the little grey room and told them to wait. Moments later, he led in Auntie Flip dressed as Dad. The poor woman looked completely frazzled after her night in the cells. "They got some news for you," barked the prison guard. "Your Uncle Keith has snuffed it."
"Who?"
replied Auntie Flip. Uncle Keith," continued Dad, winking at the lady and hoping she might well realise this was a scam.
"Your Uncle Keith, who you know very well."
Yeah, Uncle Keith. Yes, of course I remember," exclaimed Auntie Flip. "How is he?"
"Dead,"
replied Frank. "Dead? No!" screamed the lady, and she burst into a fountain of tears. The prison guard observed all this like a hawk, a one-eyed hawk.
"Yeah, you said your father always hated Uncle Keith," said Mr. Swivel.
"Yeah, well, hate is a strong word, yes, but you always disliked him, Dad, remember?" prompted the boy. The lady eventually got the hint and began hooting with fake laughter. "Oh, Uncle Keith has kicked the bucket, yippee!" Mr. Swivel shook his head, mightily confused by this bizarre family. Right. Get out of my prison, you two weirdos," he barked.
Could we have a moment to grieve as a family in peace, Mr. Swivel?" pleaded Dad as Auntie Flip.
"Grieve?" asked Mr. Swivel.
"I mean, celebrate," said Dad.
The prison guard sighed. All right, you have 1 minute and not a second more," he barked, slamming the door behind him. Bang! "We'd better swap clothes quickly," said Dad.
"Yes, I can't wait to get out of here," replied the lady.
"Did you not enjoy your night in prison, Auntie Flip?" asked the boy. The lady looked at Frank as if he was stark, raving mad.
"The noise! The people!" she exclaimed. "I had to share a cell with these 6 brutes who were brothers. I couldn't sleep a wink. They were all staring at me funny. I thought they were onto me, that they might do me in during the night. But I began reciting some of my poetry about the joys of garden centres to them, and that sent them all off to sleep in an instant."
"I bet," muttered Frank under his breath.
Now, boy, close your eyes while we get changed."
Frank did what he was told. In a few moments, Auntie Flip announced,
"Right, you can open them again."
Frank opened his eyes, relieved to see that Dad was back to being Dad and Auntie Flip was back to being Auntie Flip.
"I'm me again, thank the Lord," said the lady,
lifting her hands in prayer. At that moment, Mr. Swivel marched back into the room. "Right, that's quite enough of crying or laughing or whatever bizarre thing you do in this family when someone snuffs it. You two, out!" Auntie Flip and Frank were led out of the room. As he reached the door, the boy looked over his shoulder and smiled at his father. "Out!" barked Mr. Swivel. There we go. That's the end of part 20 of Bad Dad by David Walliams. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Probably for the last one, I reckon. But we'll see. Thanks. Bye.